I'm going to be straight up and make a very controversial claim. The Webflow community has become a cult. I love the Webflow community. I am a part of the Webflow community and I want to continue to be so. But we use Webflow because it saves us time, because it serves our needs. We do not owe very much to Webflow as individuals. It is a tool.
Relume has been the perfect example of how you bring something to market in incremental steps. Just at the pace at which things come out from Webflow, it's just not there. The problem really is that there's clearly a shift happening with how people build stuff. The same shift that people made when they went from hard coding to using visual development tools.
Yes.
And now the next shift is happening where we're moving from building visually to building conversationally. It's the same issue that we described before, which is, hey, this is what we have always done. This is what has made us who we are. It's that where I feel like some people grab the initiative and be like, we need to adapt our platform to be a more conversational tool, or at least give people that option. Or they're going to say, no, this is just how we've done things. And sometimes I don't know. I mean, there's clearly intent there with building the MCP and all that kind of stuff. But I kind of feel like just at the pace at which things come out from Webflow, it's just not there. It's just not the same as I'm seeing with other kind of tools. I feel like I would be doubling down on that. If you could build a Webflow Claude extension that allows you to custom code or have a conversation with Claude code and that then build a site for you in the manner that you're doing it, then it'll be all good. But this has been kind of an issue with Webflow for ever. They've got an idea of what their focus is, and they're just committed to the focus. It's for reasons like that you have tools like FinSuite build attributes, search and filtering, CMS sliders. You've got MemberStack building authentication, all that kind of stuff. You've got Relume building entire component libraries. The thing is that their focus was just elsewhere. Who is our key customer? Who are we going to serve? And what are their needs? And I kind of feel like that works. I mean, for sure for them, I completely understand it. But there's a finite lifespan on how long certain customers are going to stick around with you if your platform is not going to adapt to how things are done. And so now we're at the point where I'm literally trying to teach myself how I can build a Webflow extension so I can vibe code this in Webflow, which is
begging Webflow. You're begging Webflow to stay with them, is what you're doing.
But then what happens is you get to the point, it's why am I even doing this? And this is literally the point that I reached. I'm why am I even doing it in this? If I am building Chrome extensions to build marketing sites faster in Webflow using Claude code, then why don't I just take that time and energy and just learn how to build it with React? And that's kind of where we're at with things. I mean, for me personally, another reason why I still use Webflow is because a lot of the projects I build for people, I hand off to non-technical people, and I just feel it's a better solution to people. It's even if you can't code, it's just better having that visual interface. Same reason why I still use Airtable. It's I'll probably prefer to use other tools now just for the flexibility purposes. With that being said, Airtable is still really, really good. I mean, I feel they've been timeless, really. But it's just a nice visual tool to hand over to someone who is non-technical. But again, I just feel more and more businesses will adapt to it. And you remember what I said in the last call is I bet you the people who are gonna really make a difference in the design space is gonna be Relume. And they, in December, they basically put out a message in their Slack channel saying, hey, we're gonna put shipping new components and features on hold for now because we're making some bigger changes. And then Dan posted on his LinkedIn a screenshot of a new thing that they're working on, and they're literally building the publishing thing. So they're literally doing what I always thought they were going to do, which is now you go from idea to wireframes to design to hitting the publish button all in one go. And that is the kind of level that I feel I don't know, it's
so not bringing it into Webflow.
No, you don't even bring it into Webflow anymore. It will just
Relume hosting.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be Relume hosting.
Oh, that's...
But I knew that they were always going to do it. It's such a no-brainer. Why would you hand this off to Webflow? Because if you think about how much money Webflow makes off customers that Relume brings them through simplifying that initial starting point. It's crazy. It's like, if you think about the CMS plan in itself, let's say $50 per month. Like, imagine how many sites get published on Webflow as a result of Relume. Now, imagine Relume charges $10 per month for hosting, and instead of people going and shipping it into Webflow, they just like deploy it directly from there, you know? And then imagine that they then also tie in like vibe coded elements into it, because what they're doing really in the background is just rendering HTML that they're creating. Then you have the flexibility to make all the adjustments that you need. And you can give people who are more technical a lot of flexibility, and people who are less technical, they can just use like their design tool, you know, the way that they have been using it. And so like, I mean, to me, like Relume has like been like the perfect example of how you bring something to market in incremental steps. And I remember Dan talking about this a lot. For them, the entire experience happens in different stages, and all you need to do is just tackle one of the issues at a time. The first big issue that they identified that needed to be solved is building custom components in Webflow is a real pain. So they solved that problem. Everyone loves that solution. Then what is the next thing? And they look at it from a perspective of like a designer. So like, what's the next thing? It's like, okay, when you're pitching, you need to kind of show the client what the sitemap would look like. So they go ahead and do the sitemap builder. Then the wireframe thing. And they do one thing at a time. So just looking at their approach, it's been like obvious to me that at like some point, it's going to be like the full end-to-end experience. It'll be interesting to see how much further they go. That they might end up building something, like it really depends on what their priorities are, but they might end up building something there's now a proposal generator that you can automatically send your clients. Or something like that, you know. And I'm sure they still do it, but like, I know the Relume guys are so involved in the space. They are constantly talking to designers. They're constantly talking with, you know, they're constantly talking to agencies. They've got like, and they're like finding out exactly what the key pain points are that they have right now. And it's just like, let's solve this issue next. That's why I kind of feel like they're going to go pretty far. I also think like Duncan and Tyler think like that as well. They are very like, what's needed? What problem does it solve? How can we do that? Now, I've got no doubt that Webflow does that as well, but it's a different situation when hired PMs and the actual founders who are going through that process. I don't know what it is. I'm not trying to say like that the PMs are like not good or whatever. They are obviously very good, but I feel like it's a different experience when you are so invested in the success of your customers that you're like that in depth.
First thing, I don't even know where to start, but where I'm gonna start is that is crazy with Relume. Honestly, I could see first of all, everything they do is amazing. Like, I am such a Relume shill that you would think that they're paying me a whole bunch of money to talk about them. I love Relume. Everything they've done has been killing it. And that's really interesting, the process that they follow, because that's absolutely what they have done. It started with one thing. We have a mentality here at MemberStack. All we do, we say this constantly. It's literally ingrained in my mind. You say anything to Duncan, his response will be, simple first, powerful later, as in, we're not going to sit there and have this big grandiose, we could have a pie in the sky vision, fine, but that's later. Right now, it's like, what can we do to solve this problem right now, simply and easily, especially to validate it? And so Relume, I don't know how they function internally, but from the way that their product evolves, I can tell it's something like that. And that really does feel like the next step for them. And they, better than anyone else that I've never thought about Relume in this light before, but they are better suited than anyone else to become what there's a hole in the market for, and that is the AI native site builder for professionals. They can be those people. They absolutely can be those people. And I think you were also talking about like taking that shift and the decision to either stick with what you've been doing or to evolve your product. You know, I'm not one of those people who thinks that Webflow should like, you know, transition into like, oh, we're like an AI native, whatever. I think Bubble, for example, like completely shifted their focus to AI. I don't use Bubble. I don't know. Bubble person's going to have to let me know. I don't think Webflow should do that, but I think you can heavily evolve your product without abandoning the people who got you there. And what I mean by that is Webflow, I think, should be focusing all of this energy on keeping up really at this point in time, but not at the expense of the people who just want to build their sites peacefully in the way that they have meant to. I don't think anyone in the Webflow space wants to see that. But like, we move slow because, to put it simply, all of these large, and again, I don't work at Webflow, I don't know how they function, all of these large VC-backed companies have grown based off of headcount, because when you live in a world that everything is done manually, as we have up until literally a few years ago, there is power in numbers. As in, how is my team of 2 to 3 engineers going to keep up with your team of 250? They can't. However, I think that's changing really quickly, as in a team of 250 engineers, in order to pivot, and clearly pivots are needed frequently now. In order to pivot a team of 250, Webflow has over 700 employees, by the way. In order to pivot all 700 employees, that's the kind of thing where you're like, we need to change, and I'm just going to shelf that for later because I don't even want to think about how complicated that's going to be. Whereas a company like MemberStack, we can, there's like only a handful of us full time. We can all get together, have a conversation, and adjust on a swivel. And I think you're going to see and I've repeated this so many times, I'm going to repeat it again. I love Webflow. I hope the best for Webflow. I really want Webflow to succeed here. But I think this is a point where you could genuinely see a small company like Relume demolish a large company like Webflow. Not that I think that is going to happen. I'm just saying that whole smaller companies that are able to shift and act more efficiently, now that you can write significant amounts of code at scale, there is no reason why a company like that cannot outperform a company like Webflow at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, that is already happening. That is literally what these AI companies are. They are all significantly smaller. I mean, but for me, again, I know nothing, so this is just my take on it. So anyone that is sad about it, just disregard it. But I just feel like the problem is when you are a large VC-backed company, it changes the dynamics of your priorities. That is just the sheer fact of the matter. What you deliver as someone who is accountable to shareholders and investors is going to be completely different to someone who is accountable to their customers first and foremost. And you'd think that they're the same thing, but they're very much not the same thing, because
little overlap, but it's not the same.
Yeah, that they are. I mean, I feel and this is not even just Webflow specific. There are other companies who I feel have challenged this way more. When you have to think about what product we are building, you have to think about who are we building this for. And I feel when I think of MemberStack or Relume, I feel they have their roots in being the people that needed this themselves. And so what they are doing is essentially creating the best version of their product that would have served them at the absolute very best, given when they started building the thing. So when you look at Relume, and I only give Relume as an example, but there are tons of other examples out there as well. But I feel with Relume, it's so clear, they looked at the problems that they had, one problem at a time, and they solved each of those problems. And so you can kind of see that if you strip away the company that they are now and you just look at them as a designer or an agency and all that kind of stuff, the way that their product has evolved has made them better at doing their job simply because of the solution that they built. When you are accountable to VCs, you need to ask yourself, where does the money come from? And the money usually at that stage comes from enterprise. And the needs of enterprise are going to be vastly different than the needs of your everyday person. And that's why you end up seeing features like Webflow Optimize and stuff like that, which is it doesn't I don't know, I've never used it, or even what is their Google Analytics variant. I've never used that thing either, and it's you need to ask yourself, it's mostly about resource allocation. And if they're look, realistically speaking, we're making $50 a month off Connor, and we're making $8,000 a month off company X, what is it that company X wants? But I just feel the problem is that one, there are way more Connors out there, and two, I always find, this is what I've seen when I've talked to people who are who have enterprises that use these tools, is that the primary driver of them being on enterprise is always, like the Julian, who's just like, hey, I've used this. This is like a sick tool. We should use this.
Yeah.
Or it's like the people within the company who are advocating for it. But like, if you start building tools in a way that caters more towards like something that wouldn't necessarily resonate with the builder, then you're essentially drying up your funnel long term. And then people like you go, actually, this is like we could just do this in Claude Code and all that kind of stuff. And again, just to like circle back to this about Claude Code, do you not get a sense that the people who are building this are developers and they are constantly asking themselves, how can I make the developer experience even better? And so everything that they ship gets so much hype on Twitter because it's like so useful, because it's something that improves their experience. I just feel like there was a time where I got that from Webflow like weekly, but I just don't anymore. And I say that in the kindest tone because I hope that maybe one day they can return to it, but I just feel like that ship has slightly sailed. And also, just to like cap it up, I feel like one of the big drive, I've met like their founders at like the Webflow conference, and Brian, their CTO, highly rate him. I mean, I actually low-key think that he's like a genius, and I feel like, even though obviously all of them would have been involved in the product development side of things, I feel like him specifically is the kind of guy who could just make good stuff happen. And he was the guy who was responsible for like DevLink and all those kind of things. But he's gone now. So it's like, damn, like who else is left to be that person, if you know what I'm saying?
Is he gone?
I don't know, maybe being unnecessarily harsh. This is definitely not anything against anyone who's working there right now, but I don't know. It's just like a feeling.
I mean, honestly, when it comes to being harsh, like in a way, like, again, I'm going to be straight up and make a very controversial claim. The Webflow community has become a cult. In the sense, I love the Webflow community. I am a part of the Webflow community and I want to continue to be so. But we use Webflow because it saves us time, because it serves our needs. We do not owe very much to Webflow as individuals. It is a tool, right? And it's become almost like, you know, we have to like repeat like, oh, I still love Webflow, I still love Webflow, I still love Webflow. I'm doing this. Like, I'm not pointing out other people. I am doing this. I've been doing this, especially this week after we announced that our marketing site left Webflow. The company needs to adapt. Absolutely. First and foremost. And we, I think, as a part of the community, have a responsibility to be sharing this stuff, because at the end of the day, tech changes so rapidly and Webflow grew so rapidly, and that brought a transformation in their company from being like a scrappy, like we're helping people build websites kind of thing, to being a corporation, to being a institutional big. We look at the numbers and we make decisions based on the numbers, and that's a natural transition for big companies. I'm not saying anything bad about Webflow here, but at the end of the day, you have this with a lot of tech companies, but like, you know, Webflow and website builders are not a commodity, right? Like these things are changing so rapidly, and I think, yes, looking at the numbers, and it's a logical decision that Webflow is going to focus on enterprise, but logical decisions are not always the right decisions, because what long-term effects is that going to have? Yes, you should focus on enterprise. Is that at the expense of the, let's say, first movers that brought you into this position in the first place? Because if so, you're going to have a bad time. Like, I see a lot of people who are kind of OGs in the Webflow space, let's say, that are starting to move away from Webflow. Like, you know, Raymar, like he works at Replit, for example. There's quite a few different people who are not necessarily leaving Webflow or disliking Webflow, but they're you know, they've had their loyalty to Webflow for so long, and they're kind of starting to branch off. And I think in order to fix that, Webflow needs to have a bit of a paradigm shift away from like, we are an indispensable asset that people will use, to like, we're a tech company that could become obsolete very quickly. And so you need to have, you know, I don't personally know Bryant. I've heard awesome things about him from anyone who's met him. So Bryant, hello. You seem great. You need to have that, like, that crazy guy with the hair sticking up in his office. Like, I've got an idea, guys. We got to build this now. I think you need to have that person in tech, because things just change so fast. And that kind of person, they're not just looking at numbers and what makes the most logical sense. They feel the pulse of the industry and how things are changing, and they can see stuff first. You got to listen to both the numbers and the crazy people, the Bryants. Sorry, Bryant, I'm assuming you're not crazy, but you get what I mean.
Yeah. By the way, all three of them are like in their own different way. I feel like I always think of Brian because whenever, like, I don't know, I don't know what it is about him, but also I should include the other two as well because, yeah, I feel like it's just like the founder energy is just missing. But again, what do I know? That's kind of how I see it. But it's all good. Like you said, it's like a fair transition. You know, it's like at some point it just happens. And like I said, this isn't Webflow is like one of these companies. They're like other companies where I'm kind of like, I don't know where this is going. And it's just because the accountability that you have in the market is to the valuation that you have and how you can justify that valuation. And I get it. You either like grow your user base like rapidly or you just go upmarket and make more money. And I feel like, especially nowadays, like with every other week there being a new tool, it's like, damn, like how do you even like keep the market? Like I'm just going to say, like, you know, tools like Lovable and like Replit, even with them, I see there being a slightly finite lifespan, if I'm being completely honest. But again, it's all speculation. At the end of the day, you know, it's like hard to build things. So this is not like criticism. This is just my observations.
Totally. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we can call this one a day on the fact that, like, we're just two guys running what we're running. We've been involved in the community for a long time, and we have speculations, opinions, thoughts, whatever it may be. Like, and I think these are very valuable for companies such as Webflow to be listening to these people in their community. That being said, I do not by any means think that if you appointed me as a CEO of Webflow, I would do any better. I absolutely don't. These are difficult things to address. These are decisions which can lead to hundreds of people getting fired or hired. It's not easy. It's not easy. And honestly, our entire industry is at stake right now. And I think you have a whole range of people right now who are, let's say, no code builders. You've got the people who are all in. Like, I've seen people who used to be in the Webflow space, like, Webflow sucks, I'm just going to build everything with AI now. Then you've got the people who are like straight up AI deniers. They're like, this is a fad, this is slop, everything sucks. And then you've got in between, right? Mm-hmm. And we're all kind of trying to figure out how to navigate this. None of us know what the right thing to do is, either for the companies that are running it or for us as individuals with, you know, clients, with our own projects, with our jobs, whatever it may be. And so with that, Connor, I have a proposal for you. I think there's no one better out there to discuss being a, let's say, no-code builder navigating the world of AI. So what do you say we make this a recurring thing with that as the theme?
Yeah, no, for sure. Right, hey, my man, I actually have to take off, but great chat.
Let's go.
And
I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Bye.
Good stuff. Take it easy,
Bye.
Connor. Cheers, man. Bye.
See ya. Bye.